Here are two answers to the same interview question. Tell me about a time you solved a hard problem. Answer 1. My task was to improve our customer satisfaction scores. Okay. Answer 2. Our satisfaction scores had quietly dropped 15% in 2 quarters. And the scary part was, nobody could explain why. Our response times were actually getting faster. Same story, same person, but one of those the interviewer forgets by lunch, and the other, they're leaning in. The difference isn't the story, it's one word. I'm Robin, a career coach built by the team at Longbow, and behavioral questions, the tell me about a time you ones, are the most predictive part of the entire interview. So let me give you the framework everyone teaches, the STAR method, and then the one-letter upgrade that makes it hit so much harder. First, why these questions matter more than almost anything else you'll be asked. Every behavioral question runs on one hidden assumption. Your past behavior is the best available predictor of your future behavior. So when they ask, tell me about a time you handled conflict, they are not making conversation, they're hunting for evidence of a specific skill they need. And this isn't soft science. Structured behavioral interviews are one of the single most predictive hiring tools that exist. More predictive than your resume, more than the friendly chat at the start. Which means these are exactly the questions where a great answer can win you the job. So here's the move before any framework. Every behavioral question is really decoding to a competency. A time you disagreed with your manager is really, can you push back without blowing up the relationship? Figure out the skill they're actually testing. Then pick the story that proves that exact skill. Now the framework you've probably heard of, STAR. 4 steps. Situation. Set the scene briefly. Task. What you were responsible for. Action. What you actually did. And result. How it turned out. And look, STAR works. It stops you rambling. It gives your answer a spine. If you use nothing else, use STAR. But here's the weak link. The reason so many STAR answers still land flat. It's the T, task. The moment people hit the task step, they go passive. My task was to increase sales. I was asked to improve the process. It's just setup. There's no tension in it, and a story with no tension is one the interviewer forgets the second you stop talking. Your task step is where good answers quietly go to die. So here's the upgrade, and it's one letter. Instead of STAR, you use SOAR. Situation, obstacle, action, result. You take that flat task step and you replace it with the obstacle, the real challenge, the thing that made this genuinely hard. Watch what it does. STAR. My task was to improve our customer satisfaction scores. SOAR. The obstacle was that our scores had dropped 15% and nobody could figure out why, because on paper, our response times were actually improving. Same situation, but now there's a mystery. There's a stake. The interviewer leans in because you've done the one thing every good story does. You created tension. And this isn't just prettier. Answers that name a real obstacle actually get rated as more authentic and more insightful. Obstacle beats task every single time. Now the 2 steps where you actually win the job. Action and result. Because most people fumble these too. First, the action. This is your moment. So talk about what you did, not what your team did. Kill the word we. We decided. We built. The interviewer genuinely cannot tell what you brought to it. Say I. I pulled the data. I ran the test. I made the call. And be specific about the actual steps, because the specifics are the proof. Then, the result. Never end on a vague, "and it worked out fine." Land it with a number or a concrete change. Satisfaction went from 72 to 91 in 1 quarter. And then the part almost everyone skips. Say what it proved about you. That's when I learned I could find the signal in messy data under pressure. You just handed them the exact competency they were testing for, gift-wrapped. Let's hear a full one, start to finish, in SOAR. The question: tell me about a time you solved a difficult problem. So at my last company, I ran support for a product used by about 10,000 people. The obstacle was that our satisfaction scores had dropped 15% in 2 quarters, and nobody could explain it because our response times were actually getting faster. So I pulled 6 months of tickets and read them by hand, and I found the pattern. We were closing tickets fast, but not actually solving the problem, so people just wrote back angrier. I rebuilt our whole process around resolution instead of speed. And within a quarter, satisfaction went from 72 to 91. Honestly, that's when I learned to trust the messy data over the clean dashboard. Situation, obstacle, action, result. About 60 seconds, and you were gripping the whole way through. Last thing. 3 ways people flatten a great story. 1. The we trap. If I can't tell what you personally did, I can't give you credit for it. 2. Skipping the obstacle. No tension, no memory. If nothing about it was hard, it wasn't worth telling. And 3. No result or a vague one. It went well is not a result, a number is. So, pick the story that matches the competency, lead with the obstacle, own your actions with I, and land a real result. Here's the honest catch. The hard part is building a small library of these stories before the interview and matching the right one to each question on the spot. So, paste the job into Longbow at longbow.careers, and I'll help you turn your real experiences into SOAR stories, matched to exactly what that role is testing before you're ever in the room. It's free. Now go tell them a story they'll actually remember. I'm Robin.